So this is a face to the name of this 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Routh. So there you have it. James, I want to talk about rhetoric for a moment.
Yeah.
Do you think rhetoric from the Democrats leads to this incitement against Donald Trump, or is it just the tone and tenor of debate in the US at the moment, which has been heading this way for quite some years?
Well, Laura, it's a really interesting question here, and I'm really loath to blame rhetoric per se for inspiring people to violent acts. People who commit violent acts, are ultimately responsible for their violent acts. I don't subscribe to, that idea that words necessarily are violence, because, of course, that leads to all sorts of things where people want to restrict speech on the basis of protecting, people from violence. But what I will say is that when it comes to political violence, the left likes to act in the United States and elsewhere like they have clean hands on this. But I mean, if anybody who lived through the 2020 riots around BLM and Antifa, know that violence is very much a feature of left-wing politics. And I know people will say, oh, January 6th too, and that's fine. You can say that. But what I do think is appalling is that some outlets, such as MSNBC in the U.S., have tried to somehow say that this is Trump's fault for his own rhetoric. And, this is just appalling here. The thing is, there's a lot of questions that we need answers on. One thing that I would love to know, Laura, is how did this individual, this alleged would-be assassin, and I'm saying alleged, but how did he know that the former president would be playing Trump at that time, at that place? I mean, I think there's questions that need to be answered and investigated here. I'm not suggesting a conspiracy, but I do think we need to know answers to these questions going forward.
Yeah, I think so too. And often what these cases can come about, what can happen in the days where this is investigated, is that I think the Secret Service has a hell of a job ahead of them to be able to track and know all the threats against Donald Trump. I mean, 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Routh, does he fit into the profile of hundreds of other people that might be upset with Donald Trump? And when you talk about rhetoric, I mean, it was just a couple of hours ago that Donald Trump tweeted, "I hate Taylor Swift." I mean, I'm not saying that's incitement, but, I'm talking about the tone of things in America. The tone of political debate in America has been diabolical for years, and Trump is a part of that.
Well, sure, but I mean, if we find out that this Routh fellow was a Swiftie, then, maybe there's, something to that tweet. But to be serious about it for a moment, though, I just, I think that we have to be really, really careful about saying that, we need to be careful about our words because people might do the wrong thing. Well, people who do the wrong thing, we'll do the wrong thing for whatever reason.
Oh, I agree with
and
you.
I would love to see it. I would love to see, look, I would love to see, Laura, I would love that, we would go to revert to sort of the, high-minded days of the Lincoln-Douglas debates in America. But I would also remember that, the tone of rhetoric in U.S. politics, I mean, go back to some of the presidential campaigns in the early 1800s, they make Donald Trump look like Emily Post when it comes to polite rhetoric. So, we should also have a little bit of historical perspective here.
Yeah.
The Trump motorcade heading back to his Mar-a-Lago resort after another apparent assassination attempt. That is how the FBI is describing the events of yesterday afternoon at his golf club in Florida. This is the man the authorities have in custody. His name is Ryan Wesley Routh. He's 58 years old. These two bags, a GoPro fixed to the wire and a rifle, were found at the perimeter fence of the Trump International Golf Club in Palm Beach, 300 to 500 yards from the former president.
Now, in the bushes where this guy was is an AK47 style rifle with a scope, two backpacks which were hung on the fence that had ceramic tile in them, and a GoPro, which he was going to take pictures of. What they do is they have an agent that jumps one hole ahead of time to where the president was at. And he was able to spot this rifle barrel sticking out of the fence and immediately engage that individual, at which time the individual took off.
It's not clear at this stage whether the gunman fired shots or if it was just the Secret Service agents, but Mr. Trump was not harmed and issued a statement shortly afterwards. There were gunshots in my vicinity, he said, but before rumours start spiralling out of control, I want you to hear this first. I am safe and well. Nothing will slow me down. I will never surrender. I will always love you for supporting me. Unity, peace, make America great again. God bless you, Donald J. Trump. As he was being taken to safety, a car chase was underway on a nearby Florida highway, the gunman on the run, but quickly caught.
We had him contained, forced off the road, taken out at gunpoint, pulled back in what we call a felony stop, and he was safely taken into custody.
This is the Trump International website's virtual view of holes 5, 6 and 7 on the course, and this is where Donald Trump was at the time. His Secret Service detail were a hole ahead of him, and that's when they saw the gunman. From this Google Maps image, you can see the proximity of the public road to the course.
The Secret Service did exactly what they should have done. They provided exactly what the protection should have been, and their agent did a fantastic job.
From the White House, a statement. The President and Vice President have been briefed about the security incident at Trump International Golf Course where former President Trump was golfing. They are relieved to know that he is safe. They will be kept regularly updated by their team. And separately from Kamala Harris as the candidate who faces Trump in November, I have been briefed on the reports of gunshots fired near former President Trump and his property in Florida, and I am glad he is safe. Violence has no place in America.
Take a look at what happened.
It was only in July that President Trump survived this. A whisker from a shot in the head at a rally in Pennsylvania. The gunman in this case, on a roof outside the security perimeter, was shot dead. That investigation continues. And since then, at subsequent outdoor rallies, he is shielded behind bulletproof glass. This image was released late last night by the US Speaker Mike Johnson, taken after the incident, we believe, and in good spirits, it seems, as America absorbs an extraordinary moment once again. How could this happen? Why would it happen? And what next?